Welcome to Excel Basics video number 9. Hey, in this video, we got to talk about the ever important number formatting as facade. And we have to talk about the round function. Now, this is a facade. This is actually the Trevi Fountain in Italy. On the surface of the building, we have ornate, beautiful, amazing decoration and design. But behind the facade or behind the surface, we actually don't know what's inside. It's actually exactly the same with number formatting. Now, each one of these calculations is a tax deduction. We took gross pay times tax. We did our calculations. Then we applied currency number formatting to display just 2 pennies. Then we added. But guess what? The sum function is adding the incorrect total. Because when we multiplied, we had extraneous decimals past the penny position. So when we use just number formatting, our formulas might get the wrong answer. But if we officially round the number to the penny using the round function, then when we come down and use our sum function, it's going to get the correct answer. Now, number formatting as a facade is one of the most important concepts in all of Excel. And if you look back here, I have a library of over 130 Excel books. And only a handful of them actually talk about the importance of number formatting as facade and understanding it so we don't get errors like in this example here. And we'll do this example in just a moment. The Trevi Fountain facade is absolutely beautiful, but we don't want to get tricked by it. All right, let's go over to the sheet NF1. All right, so the question is, what does number formatting do? Well, when we have a number in a cell and we apply number formatting, it allows us to change how the number is displayed without actually changing the underlying number in the cell. For example, I have F2 selected. I'm simply going to come up to the number group and decrease the decimals 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now, I didn't click the 4th time, but watch what happens. Boom, it looks like it's an integer, 35,061, but no way. We're just displaying it on the surface of the spreadsheet to look like it's 35,061. For some number formattings, you can look up to the formula bar and see, sure enough, all of those decimals are still there. Now, these are the notes from the PDF file that you can download. You definitely want to download those or read them here. Memorize this. That's a facade. The underlying number will always still remain in the cell. Let's go over to the next sheet, NF2, and here is where it gets us into trouble. Price times quantity. I don't really need a formula. I can totally multiply 100 times 2, and I think I get 200, right? Equals, and I'm going to use my arrow keys, left, left, times left. I better get 200. And when I hit enter, no way. Formulas, F2, that formula will never see the number formatting. So as soon as you get a result like that that doesn't match what you see on the surface of the spreadsheet, you got to go investigate. Now, sometimes you can click on the cell and look up in the formula bar. I'm going to click in this cell. There it is, 99.5. Someone decreased the decimals. Now, the fix, of course, is just to come up and increase the decimals. Remember, formulas do not see number formatting. Let's go over to NF3. Number formatting can also be used to save us a lot of time with data entry. Here's our sales amounts that we got in some email or some invoice, and we need to enter them. Here's what we do not want to do. $45.00. Now, when I hit enter, it will work. But notice how many characters did I type in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm going to Control Z. All I'm going to type in is 45, Control Enter. because now I want to apply currency. When I come up to the drop down and select currency, just like that, it totally saved me 4 total clicks. Now on a column, when I'm entering lots of sales numbers, saving 4 clicks or 1 click or 2 clicks in each cell really adds up to a big time saver. Now, here again, when we use currency, we can look up to the formula bar and see what's actually in the cell. One way to do this, if you are fluent with number formatting, is to type 65.2. That's the minimum number of characters I'm going to need. The $ and the 0 will be put in for me. Enter. 78.99. I will save 1 click here because the $ will be put in. 100. I'm going to save total of 4 clicks here. Enter. 101. Enter. 98.2. Enter. 20. Enter. That's one way to do it. You enter them first, then you highlight the numbers and come up and apply currency. The other way to do it is to simply highlight the cells in advance. And currency can also be added to the cells with our keyboard for Format Cells dialog box. Control-1, number pad, currency. And then here, of course, we have choice of decimals, the type of unit, and how we want our negative number to be displayed. I'm going to click OK. Now, when I enter this, 45, enter. I love it. 65.2, enter. 78.99, enter. 100, enter. 101, enter. I'm using the number pad here. 98.2, enter. 20, and enter. That is amazing. So number formatting can definitely save us time when we enter data. Let's go over to the next sheet, NF4. We got to talk about general number formatting, accounting, and currency. These notes are here in the spreadsheet. They're also over in the PDFs. Now, general number formatting is the default. So if I look up in the drop down here, I can see that these cells are general, or I can highlight the whole range and see it's general. Now, let's highlight this whole column here. We want to talk about the difference between currency and accounting. Control-1, currency, and I'm going to accept the default, click OK. Highlight. Control-1, accounting, I'm going to enact the OK button with Enter. Ah, look at that. First thing, fixed $ for accounting. Always going to be fixed to the outside. The accountants want everything to be nice and lined up, neat and pretty. Currency has a floating $. It will float in and out depending on how big the number is. The number 0 in currency will be shown as a 0. In accounting, it's shown as a dash. That actually comes from when we close accounts. In accounting, we're supposed to put a little dash to show that it's closed. Negative numbers. Remember, with currency, we have the choice. With accounting, it always is going to be shown in parentheses because in accounting, negatives are shown in parentheses. The last thing is sometimes if you apply different negative number currency options like Control-1, I'm going to choose this one right here, click OK, then the decimals don't always line up. But usually, people don't apply different negative number currencies, so currency lines them up. Accounting will always line the decimals up perfectly. Now, another really important thing about general number formatting. If you would like to highlight all of the numbers, and remember we have currency, here we have currency with a parentheses, here we have accounting. But you just want to wipe away all of the number formatting and actually see what's really in the cell, then you can use general number formatting as an eraser. If we apply general, it erases any number formatting we might have applied. So when I click general, just like that, it erases all of the number formatting. Now I'm going to Control-Z and leave currency and accounting there. Let's go look at our next example, NF5. Oh, yes, percentages. Now, when you see a tax rate of 9.5%, that really means that for every $1 of items that you purchase, you're required to pay 9.5 pennies. So $10 purchase means you have to pay 95 pennies. Now, a decimal, 0.095, that is what's really in the cell when you're using the percentage number formatting to display 9.50%. Now I'm going to do a formula down here. Equals 9.5 divided by 100. That's really what a percentage means, or in our case, a decimal. It means that for every 100, we're taking 9.5 pennies. If I Control Enter, notice that's the proper decimal that always underlies a percentage number formatting. Now, if I highlight both of these, Control 1 and go to percentage, to decimals, click OK. Those numbers, 0.095, those numbers are still underneath this number formatting. Now, this is the first time we've seen a number formatting where we cannot go up to the formula bar and see what's really in the cell. But we can certainly highlight all three cells. And remember our eraser, we go up and get the general number formatting. And of course, that number will always be underneath because the meaning of a percentage is however many items out of 100 using division. Now I'm going to Control Z and leave that there. 0.03, come up and apply percentage. 0.03 is now formatted to display as a percentage. Now, what just happened there? When I applied the number formatting on the surface of the spreadsheet, percentage number format took the decimal and slid it 2 positions to the right. So there's the decimal. It went whoop, whoop. So now it's right after the 3 instead of 2 positions before the 3. The second thing it did is it added a percentage symbol. So that's percentage number formatting. Here's always the warning when we're using number formatting and formulas. Equals $1 times 1%. I definitely can do that in my head. It's 1 penny. So when they tell me that it's actually 0.0145, what is going on there? Notice point, position, position. That 1 is the pennies position. These are decimals after the penny position. For lots of tax rates, we're not just limited to pennies. We have partial pennies for our tax rate. But why did our formula do this? It has to be that there's something going on with our percentage number formatting. If I click in this cell, now I can look up to the formula bar and see the percentage without the decimals decreased. If I wanted to see what's really in the cell, then I would use the general number formatting. Oh, there it is. Now I'm going to Control Z. Oftentimes, the tax rates, you really do want a percentage. So please go up and increase the decimals. What's wrong with this is that it's not communicating to the user of the spreadsheet the correct tax rate. The formulas don't get tricked, but the user might get tricked. I'm going to increase 1, 2. Now, one last thing about percentage number formatting, and I'm going to come down here, 0.0145. Now, you got a spreadsheet, and you were given this decimal, and you're like, I want to apply percentage number formatting. We come up to the number group, and there it is. I click on that. Boop. What does that button do? It obeys you. But if you read that screen tip, percentage style, format as a percent, that's one of the worst screen tips in Excel. It should say format as a percent with 0 decimals showing, because that's what that button does. So lots of times people click that button, they think that it's been converted to 1% because they don't know about number formatting as facade. If we increase the decimals, then that's how we should display it. That button, only good when you want percentage with no decimals showing. All right, now we got to go talk about round. Now I'm going to go over to the sheet round 1. Now, if we have the number 52.724584, the very first thing we have to do is decide which position to round to. If we're dealing with pennies and this is money, we have to round to that position. So I highlighted it in blue. That's step number 1. Pick the position you want to round to. Then what do? You actually have to look to the digit to the right. So I have to look at 4. And here's our standard rounding rule. 4 or less, remove unwanted digits. So we'll actually have to remove everything. If it was 5 or bigger, add 1 to position you're rounding to and remove all digits. So we're looking right there to the right of the number 2. That's 4, so we just hack off everything. We do not add anything to the 2. We hack off everything, and we get 52.72. If we're doing this number, 52.727, we first pick the position. It's 2. We look to the right. It's 7. That's 5 or bigger, so what do? We have to add 1 to the position we're rounding to and hack everything off. So that becomes 52.73. Now, let's do multiplication here. Equals gross pay times tax rate, tab. We see that there's no number formatting. Now let's do the same exact calculation. Equals, I'm going to take gross pay times tax rate. Control Enter. I have already applied currency number formatting. Same exact formula. I did not use round. It just appears with 2 decimals. It is not rounding it to the penny position. It's only displaying it. All of those extra unrounded digits that we see right there are still in the cell. Now we can prove that to ourselves. Go up and apply general. Yes, they're still there. Now I'm going to Control Z. Now let's see the round function for the first time. Because when we're dealing with money and pennies in things like payroll, invoicing, you better know how to use the round function. All right, equals, and I'm going to do the same calculation. But instead of Control Enter, I need to add the round function to this. Now, that's just a number. We know in these 2 cells, that little formula element is just delivering a number. So I'm totally allowed to come after the equal sign and before our formula, I can type round. Now notice I see in blue in my dropdown, round is the function we're going to use. So I hit tab. And there's 2 arguments in round. Number, that's almost always some formula that's delivering a number that you'd like to round. Then we come to the end, comma to get to the next argument. Number of digits, that's simply the digit you want to round to. And the way I memorize what to type there is I look at my unrounded number and I count from the decimal to the right. 1, 2. Since the penny position is in the second position here, that's what I have to type into the round. As soon as I type a 2 into number of digits, it's saying round to the penny position. Now, if we extend the logic, start at the decimal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the digits you'd have to type into number of digits if you were rounding to one of those other positions. Now notice as we're going to the right, 1, 2, 3. But what if we needed to round to the dollar, like in some income tax situations, or even further up, like to the thousands positions? Well, notice 1, 2, 3. We'll go backwards. 3, 2, 1. What comes next? 0. So if we were rounding to the dollar line for income taxes, then we'd put a 0 there. 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Minus 3 would round to the thousands position. All right, so now I'm going to come over here, close parentheses, Control Enter. Now, I haven't applied any number formatting here, so of course General is showing us exactly what number is in the cell and it's totally rounded. Now we can go up, and in a business situation like an invoice or payroll, we would apply currency. Here, currency. Here, currency. Here it's rounded because we use round. Here it is not rounded. If I ask you a question on a test like, what does currency number formatting do? You do not use the word round. Currency number formatting did not round it. The round function rounds. Currency number formatting just displayed it to show only 2 decimals. Now we need to go over to the sheet round 2. Here's when you must round. When you are required to round, and usually you know, like with money, we only have pennies, or in income taxes, sometimes we have to round to the dollar. The instructions on the tax form says round to the dollar. So when you're required to round and you have extraneous decimals like past the penny position, and you will use the formula result in a subsequent formula. If you're never going to use the formula result from your multiplying, for example, and you're just looking at the number, then you can use number formatting. But notice, tax deduction, tax deduction, tax deduction. These are formula results that we're going to be using in a subsequent formula to add. Here's the rules for rounding. We already talked about that just a moment ago, and here are some examples when in business we have to round. Now I'm going to do equals gross pay times tax rate, and I'm going to use the F4 key to lock it. Control Enter. Copy it down just to the last cell. I've already applied currency, so it's displayed just to the penny. Now I'm going to come down here, Alt equals to invoke our sum function, and Enter. Oh, 163.89. Now I'm going to come over here, right-click. I did not mean to have that color there, no fill. No fill is when we're typing in numbers. Now I want to type in exactly what I see on the surface of the spreadsheet. So I'm going to type in 52.73, Enter. 58.58, 52.59, Enter. Alt equals Enter. I totally get a different number. The sum function is looking at exactly the numbers as they should be if they were rounded to the penny. Now, let's come and try the round function. Equals ROU. ROU will always get you to round. That's the minimum number of letters you have to type after an equal sign to then hit Tab. Now I'm going to go and get with my arrow keys gross pay times, there's the tax rate, F4 to lock it. There is our formula. In the number argument of round, we almost always have some formula that gives us a number that we need to round. Come to the end, comma. This is money. So we're required to round to the penny. So I use 2. Close parentheses, Control Enter. And I'm going to copy it down. Now I'm going to come to the bottom, Alt equals, and Enter. And there you go. That's the proper way to do our multiplication when the formula results are going to be added down here in this sum function. Now, I always know that I have to use round when I'm looking at these decimals that I'm multiplying, and I can already see past the penny position 7, there are some extra decimals. Since I'm multiplying, I know I need to round. All right, let's go look at our next example, an invoicing example. Invoicing. Here we have some items. Here's some prices. And yes, sometimes prices for things like screws have partial pennies. Here's our units. So we're going to equals units times arrow, arrow, price, Control Enter. Now you know what? As soon as I get in this position, I stop. I know I'm multiplying some decimals that are past the penny position, and this is money. So I'm immediately going to go and check it. I'm going to go up to General. Lots of extraneous decimals. I already know I have to round. F2 to put it in edit mode. I come after the equal sign. ROU, Tab. Come to the end. comma, 2, close parentheses. That 2 is because I'm rounding to the penny. Control Enter. Copy it down. Control 1, I'm applying currency, clicking OK or Enter. Now I come to the bottom. Alt equals to get the subtotal and Enter. 1485. Over here, I used currency, but I didn't use the round function. And so I got the incorrect total. Now, why does 1 penny really matter? The reason is because this invoice, this is for a customer. If they go home and make these calculations themselves and see that you're a penny off, they do not trust you. Same with our payroll example up here. The employee gets their paycheck. If they see that you're a couple pennies off, they might not mind very much, but then they don't trust your calculating. All right, this invoice example. Now we come down here. Ooh, we have to multiply subtotal times the tax rate. There you go. There's some partial pennies there. So I'm going to use the round function. Now, subtotal times tax rate, comma 2, close parentheses, and Enter. Now I can Alt equals to add them up. Some function didn't guess right. I need subtotal and tax. And then there is our completed, accurate invoice. Now, not always are we rounding to the penny. Here is a situation where we're going to put these amounts onto a tax form for income taxes. And right on the form, it says you must round to the dollar. All right, so I'm going to equals taxable amount times, there's our tax rate, F4 to lock it, Control Enter. Double click and send it down. Uh-oh, we're required to round this to the dollar. I want to come to the top cell and hit F2, ROU, tab. Come to the end, comma. I'm counting on my fingers. 1, 2. Oh, wait a second. 2, 1, 0 gives me the dollar position or the ones position. So 0, close parentheses, Control Enter, and there we go. Double click and send it down. So that example, we definitely were rounding to the dollar. All right, that was a lot of fun with rounding function and number formatting. We saw how to round to the dollar for income taxes, round to the penny for invoices and payroll. We saw how to use the percentage number format. We also saw how to use the accounting, currency, and general number formatting, noting that the general number formatting is our eraser to wipe away all number formatting. We also saw how to use number formatting to help speed up data entry. We talked about the importance of when building formulas. You got to understand that formulas do not see number formatting. And then we started it all off by asking the question, what does number formatting do? Number formatting allows you to change how a number is displayed without actually changing the underlying number. Just remember, number formatting is like that Trevi fountain in Italy. All right, next video, we're going to talk about how to search for a function in Excel. All right, if you like that video, be sure to click that thumbs up, leave a comment, and sub, because there's always lots more videos to come from Excel is Fun. We'll see you next video.